私は日本人ではありません。私はアイルランド人です。
皆さんこんにちは。アメリカ競馬オタクのまき馬ちゃんです。このチャンネルではアメリカ競馬の情報やアメリカの種牡馬の情報を発信しています。海外競馬オタクの方はもちろん種牡馬情報を集めている一口馬主の方にとっても有益な情報を発信しておりますので、ぜひチャンネル登録お願いします。本日のテーマなんですけれども、アメリカ競馬とはちょっと離れます。なんとですね、アイルランドの現役調教師リチャード・ブラバゾン調教師に遠隔でインタビューをさせていただくことができました。リチャード・ブラバゾン調教師はですね、フリートレーニング、育成をですね中心に行っている調教師の方でして、日本でエリザベス女王杯を2度勝ったスノーフェアリーですとか、香港で勝利を挙げたエグザルタントなどの育成を手掛けています。それからですね、日本からディアドラが遠征した際、アイルランドでの滞在先となった厩舎でもあります。今回はですね、ディアドラやスノーフェアリーのお話はもちろん、アイルランド競馬と日本競馬の違いなどについてもお話しいただきました。もしアイルランドで働きたい日本のホースマンの方がいらっしゃいましたら、ブラバゾン調教師の厩舎で日本人の受け入れというのを行っておりますので、この動画の概要欄に公式サイトのリンクがありますので、そちらからお問い合わせいただければと思います。ということでね、今回はアメリカ競馬とは関係ないんですけれども、海外競馬を好きになっていただけるきっかけになる動画だと思っておりますので、ぜひご覧になってください。ではどうぞ。
My name is Richard Brabazon and I run a pre-training yard on the Curragh, which is the main training centre for thoroughbreds in Ireland. And we would have about 50 horses over the winter. It's a little quieter now. A lot of the 2-year-olds have gone to trainers. And I train 4 horses, it's a special license. So I run a few horses over the summer, but my main business is pre-training.
What kind of things do you remember about her?
I remember we didn't think she was very special when she was here. She was by Inticab and not a great pedigree. And at the time we had, I think, 4 Galileos. So we were all excited about the Galileos, but of course the Inticab turned out to be the champion. She was a nice filly, and when she left, I said to the manager, she's a nice athletic filly and she should win a race. But I didn't know it would be all those big Group 1s. I think she surprised everyone, but we did like her when she was here. She was a little bit difficult to break, and she had a lot of spirit, and I think that's probably what made her such a great racehorse, because she had a bit of fight in her. So she was a little bit difficult, but not a big problem, and we were just so pleased to see her turning into the great mare that she did.
Thank you. I'm surprised because I think she was outstanding big when she was a child, so I'm very surprised.
It's like primary school here. So when she won her big races, she was in university, but we're just the primary school or the kindergarten. And we go slowly and there's no rush, and we don't usually prepare very fast early 2-year-olds. Most of the horses we have take a little bit of time to mature, and they end up better as 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds, and she was one of them. She was a lovely filly. She really quiet, very well behaved, and of course there was a lot of interest when she was here, and a lot of my friends came in. They said, we want to see Deirdre. And she was so good with everyone, and nothing disturbed her. The staff looked after her so well, and I remember she used to eat bananas, which we never saw before. We never saw a horse eating a banana, but Deirdre would eat a banana. But very, very quiet. and no problem around the yard. We just cleared a few stables. We made sure there was no other horse near her, but she knew there were horses in the yard, so she was happy. And it was just a lovely filly. It was a pity she was unlucky in the race. She should have finished a bit closer, but we saw what a great mare she was. And then we followed her all, we followed her full career. And I see she has a lovely foal now. I think it's Wooden Basset. So we're all excited about that. But we've lovely memories of her. And we had a great few days. A lot of Japanese came over to see her, and they came in here and we spent time with them, and it was lovely to meet them. We met Mr. Hashida, the trainer, and Yoshi, and all the people that looked after the filly, and it was lovely to meet them all. But it was a great few days. We'd love it to have more Japanese horses over. I think it's a pity that a race like the Irish Champion Stakes is one of the best 10 furlong races in the world. And it's perfect time 3 weeks before the Arc de Triomphe. And it'd be lovely if some Japanese horses came here, maybe ran in the Champion Stakes, and then went on to Longchamp. But we don't really have that tradition. Deirdre ran here, but we haven't had one since. And we really would love to have more Japanese runners in Ireland.
I agree with you. I want to see more Japanese horses in Ireland.
Yeah. And the first horse we had here was Pop Rock. Takashi Kodama rented a few stables from me, and he trained Pop Rock in Ireland. And he won a race in Galway, which was very exciting. And then he ran in the Irish St. Leger, and unfortunately he got injured. But quite a few Japanese followers came over to see him, and it was lovely to have them over. And I realized how much they enjoyed Irish racing. So it's a pity we haven't built on that and got more coming over, maybe with their horse, or maybe if they bought an Irish horse. But I don't think we've built up the relationship as much as we could. But I hope we will in the future.
Thank you.
I mean, your horses, look at the Breeders' Cup. Suddenly we realize Japanese horses are the best in the world.
No.
So you have horses capable of winning the Irish Champion Stakes, but it's just to try and get the owners to send them over, and to realize it's not, we know we don't have as much prize money as Japan, but we have the prestige of big European Group 1, and it's on a great race course. And certainly if any Japanese come over, we'll make them very welcome. When Deirdre was over here, we had a little dog, and she had pups, and we had to call, we kept one ourselves, and we called her Deirdre after the famous filly. And here she is. That's Deirdre the dog. So I hope she's known in Japan as the dog that was called after the great filly.
Cute. There were some Japanese people who work at your stable. And what do you think about working with Japanese people?
I think they're great workers. And I've had about 10 boys that have worked for me over the last number of years. They were all excellent. And the only thing I'm sorry about is that it's not continuous. I've no one at the moment. I have a Japanese boy that made an inquiry. He's probably coming over next month. But what I would love to do is to build up a more definite relationship and maybe get 2 boys over every year. They can come on a holiday working visa for a year. And when they come here, it's a very different type of yard. It's not really a training yard. It's pre-training, we have a little bit of racing, but we're right in the middle of the thoroughbred industry. So we're right beside Goff's, the main sales ring, and Tattersalls is just further up the road. And then all the big studs are around. You know, I've brought a lot of the Japanese boys to see the stars. He's only a few miles away. And they're very excited about that. And we have a stallion parade every year. We can go around all the stallion studs, and we bring them there, and they see the great stallions in Ireland. I can bring them down to Coolmore. So there's a lot of different things we can do. And the thing that impressed me about the Japanese boys that were here is they didn't seem to have the same access in Japan. I think it's a bit restricted. They've passed all their exams, and it's very hard to get into a racing stable. And I remember one boy was leading a horse up for me at the races, and he couldn't believe that he was talking to Shamie Heffernan, Aidan O'Brien's jockey. And we don't think about that in Ireland. That's normal. But for Japanese, it's a great experience that they can meet everyone. And we go to the races, we can talk to the trainers, the jockeys, the owners. You can have access to everyone. But we really like the Japanese that come over, and I'd love to have more. I'd love to have every year maybe 2 come over, and they can ride the yearlings, see how the horses are broken, but just see the Irish way of dealing with thoroughbreds, because where I am, we're right in the middle of the industry, and it's very easy to go to the studs, to the racing stables, to the races. We're very central, but my only problem is I haven't enough Japanese. And when they come, I try to learn more Japanese. They learn English, I learn Japanese. But I've forgotten a lot of it now, so I need another one to come and teach me. I've forgotten everything. Watashi wa Nihonjin de wa arimasen. Watashi wa Airlandojin desu.
You're Japanese.
Sumimasen.
Perfect.
Yeah, they would teach me when they'd be riding in. I'd say Iyuma, and they'd say hi. So we did speak a little bit. I haven't been to Japan, and I'd love to go. When I was very young, working in Newmarket, when I was 17 years of age, I worked with Kazuo Fujisawa. We both were working for Gavin Pritchard Gordon. So he was the first Japanese man I met in racing. And so I'd follow him. It was great to see all his great success. We think it's wonderful racing, but I'd love to go over there and see it. The big difference is your money is in a pool and you keep the money in racing. In here, bookmakers, and we don't keep the money the same way in racing. So it's just, we might have some of the best horses in the world here, but our prize money is so far below yours. It's a great industry from top to bottom. We're very envious of Japanese racing, but I'd love to go over and see it now. That's a difficult question. I think the best thing is the horses themselves. You have to like the horse. Maybe some people do it and they don't really like horses and they're good at the job, but I think it starts from liking the horse. Like I'll be going out this evening to see my horses in the yard, and it's like meeting family or friends. You know the different horses. That's the basis of it. And it's a very difficult business. There's a lot more failure in it than success. There's only one winner in every race and everyone else is beaten. So it teaches you a little bit of modesty that most of the time you're not winning. But occasionally when it comes right, it's just so exciting because you know the work that goes into it. You know the work that goes in preparing a horse. And it's lovely to see them developing. And I think that's why I like pre-training so much. I love to see a horse develop step by step. Well, I'd have to say Snow Fairy. We also had a very good horse here, Exultant. He was Horse of the Year in Hong Kong last year. He was a very good middle distance horse, won several Group 1s. But sometimes you remember a horse that wins a little race that was a lot of trouble. If you think a horse, maybe the riders say no good, and we keep trying, and eventually wins a race. Sometimes those horses are very important. So it's not always the Group 1s that are the most memorable. But of course, looking back, Snow Fairy and Exultant were the two special horses that we've had here.
ということで今回、ブラバゾン調教師ご協力ありがとうございました。改めてのお話になるんですけれども、もしアイルランドで働きたいと思っているホースマンの方がいらっしゃいましたら、こちらのね動画の概要欄にリンクのあるブラバゾン調教師の公式サイトからぜひご本人にお問い合わせをしてみていただければと思います。動画を見てお分かりいただけたかと思いますが、すごく優しい方でね、私のようなね英語喋れないようなね日本人にも優しくしていただきましたので、不安をね最小限に抑えながら皆さんの夢にまた一歩近づくことができるのではないかと思っております。ちょっと完全初心者の方というよりはしっかりと馬に乗れる方向けにはなってしまうんですけれども、もし馬に乗れてなおかつ海外での経験を積んでみたいと思っている方がいらっしゃいましたら、ぜひね、こちらのブラバゾン調教師の厩舎というのも一つの選択肢にしていただければと思います。ということで今回の動画ご覧いただきましてありがとうございました。これからもねどんどん海外競馬に接したことのある方々などからお話を聞いて、もっとね皆さんに海外競馬を身近に感じていただけるような、そして好きになっていただけるようなチャンネル作りをしていきたいと思っておりますので、これからもよろしくお願いします。ということで高評価ですとかチャンネル登録してくださるととても励みになりますので、ぜひよろしくお願いします。ということでね、今回もありがとうございました。まきばちゃんでした。ありがとうございます。